Hi, everyone. In this set of lectures, we're going to talk about fundamentals of data and information. And some of this conversation is going to get a bit philosophical, but I think it's important to be precise regarding the concepts and terms we are using and some of the basic definitions of such central ideas in this work, which are data and information. So let's go to it. So there are different topics that will be focused on in the set of videos will be split among many videos. The general view of data and the special view of data, general view of information, special view of information, which I'm kind of using. I don't really see these terms in the literature, but I find this useful to think about data and information and the different ways to think about it. The semiotic triangle of meaning. This is important to set the ground stage of what we think about when we talk about symbols and meanings and interpretation and information. And also the importance of thinking about the information life cycle and the two distinct ways to think about the information life cycle, which also includes the data life cycle. So first, this is the general view of data. The general view of data is the data as anything given. Maybe this sounds awkward to you, but actually the source of the word data, which is the word datum, usually data, the plural of datum, comes from the Latin, which means given. So if you're familiar with Spanish, the word dado, algo es dado, something is given, just means given. It's what appears to us, what is in front of us, what seems to exist. This is the more philosophical view of data. It's not commonly used by general regular people, but it's often the view of data you find in textbooks, in academic textbooks, which is kind of a little bit ironic. But the idea is that data is just what appears to us, the light rays from the sun, the fact that the cloud is white and the sky is blue, one bird is green, the other bird is red. This is data in this philosophical, academic, although of course historically also true sense. According to Luciano Floridi, a very popular writer on information, he defines data as a lack of uniformity or something distinct from another, where the relation of being distinct are left open to further interpretation. That is, we don't know, we can't really tell what it is distinct on, just something that is distinct. So data, once again, is just really any kind of appearance, any kind of lack of uniformity, any difference that we see in the world. Essentially, data as any phenomenon that can be interpreted and said to be its own thing, its own event, its own process. This may be what Floridi calls data in the wild. Now, once again, this is the general view of data, as I call it. Now, there's also the special view of data, and that is the view of data as recorded information. And this is a much more common way people use the term data in regular speech. So this refers to the letters, numerals, or other symbols that represent something else. The else is kind of important here, that represents something else, and that have a material basis in a record, be it paper, film, computer storage, via transistors. And this view of data is data as recorded information. So the records that we have in our databases of our employees, or the zeros and ones recorded in the computer hardware. Now, there's also a second view of data within this special definition, which is not only recorded information, but also recorded correct information. And in fact, that's the most common way people talk about data. This is the most common meaning of data. So usually when people talk about the data, they're referring to reliable, carefully recorded, and organized information. So for example, the results from carefully conducted studies or data from various instances that are acquired in these studies to make general statements about a population, about people, about organizations, about computers. Usually when people talk about data, such as, show me the data, I can only believe you if we have the data. We need the data to make valuable business decisions. They mean not just any recorded information, not just false recorded information, not just anything really, but something more specific, reliable recorded information or correct recorded information. And I put something here to highlight this idea that data can refer to fantasy and fiction stories, like fake images displayed on a website, like this fake image over here. However, so just to talk about this image a little bit, we have the real image here of this actress on the right. And she was at this event, she spoke with the background, she was wearing this dress. And then we have a fake image on the left of somebody's other face, of another famous actor that was put in her face. Now, this image is not real in the sense that it does not reflect that this person here with this face was in this place at this time. So this is a fake image, it's fiction. But the metadata about this image, the image about, I'm sorry, the information or the data about the record, when this image was created, who was it created by, and so on, that could be correct, and that could be reliable information. So we can get a little bit meta in our views here. And of course, this is referred to as the metadata. The data about the data can be true, while the data itself refers to fake or untrue or incorrect information. This view of data, this special view of data, is also what Buckland kind of mentioned on his article here, if you want to take a look at it for the readings. This special view of data is also what Buckland called information as thing, which refers to information as the data record or the document or the tangible form of representation. So the books, the magazines, the film, the pottery, the zeros and one stored in the transistors as physical bits and bytes in your computer. And this is also what I call an information-based definition of data. The data itself has information. The data is valuable. It was carefully created, carefully acquired. You cannot just destroy it and keep the information. The information is in the data record. Now, of course, we can retrieve more information from the data itself, but there is already information in the data. So what about information? Well, we also have a general view of information, and that is information as the symbols that represent or refer to something else in the world, or the meaning. So focus more on the meaning that humans interpret from these symbols. Often information is defined as, in this way, as semantic content, and you see this definition from the Floridi text. Something with meaning, or the meaning of something. Floridi offers this, what he calls the data-based definition of information. That is data, kind of anything, any content plus meaning. This is information. And in this sense, all types of symbolic content or interpretation is information. News articles, fiction books, stupid social media posts, data quality reports, all of it is information. That's the general view of information. And people do use the term information in this sense for sure. Now there's another special view of information, and people also use the term information when they mean this, which is not the same thing as before. The other one is just more general. This is more specific. So this is why it can get confusing. But in this special view of information, information is true semantic content, or mostly true or largely true. Of course, true is a difficult thing to determine 100%. Often people use the term information implying that it's true semantic content or true interpretation. So when you see the information, you really are talking about, you want to see the correct information, not just the fake information. So to say that the earth is round and the sun is magnetic, has magnetic force, is information. To say the earth is flat and nobody knows what the sun is not information. Now you can say, well, there is information here because it's something, I can kind of understand this, blah, 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 but not under this view. This, of course, is not information. Special view of information equals correct information or reliable information. In the two special views of information and data, information equals data. So special view of data, data is information, right? Recorded information. And then the special view of information, information is true information. And maybe then we have to say here, this is recorded true information. I hope that makes sense to you, and we'll might develop these a little bit more in throughout our course. Next time, I'm going to talk about semiotic triangle of meaning.